Imagine there was something in your life that could change the way you think, the way you feel, even the way you connect with reality itself. Something so deeply woven into culture that questioning it seems almost absurd. A substance so ancient that its origins stretch back to the dawn of civilization, linked to mysticism, transformation, and even the unseen forces of the spirit world. This substance is alcohol. But do we really understand what it is? Throughout history, alcohol has been called a spirit. But why? Is it just a name, or does it hold a deeper, hidden meaning? What if alcohol isn't just a drink, but something far more profound, something designed not to awaken us, but to suppress us? The word itself, AL-Kuhul, originates from Arabic, where it originally referred to a fine black powder used as an ancient form of eyeliner called kohl. This powder wasn't just cosmetic, it was believed to have mystical properties, enhancing vision both physically and spiritually. The concept of kuhl later evolved into something far more powerful, referring to a process of extracting the purest essence of a substance through alchemy. Alchemy was never just about turning lead into gold. It was about transformation, the purification of the impure, the distillation of something crude into something refined. Alchemists saw this process as a mirror of the human soul's journey, how, through trials, suffering, and wisdom, the soul could ascend to a higher state of being. And this is where the paradox begins. Alcohol itself is the result of distillation, a process that purifies and concentrates. In theory, it should be a tool for enlightenment, a sacred elixir leading to higher awareness. But in reality, it does the opposite. Instead of bringing clarity, it clouds perception. Instead of lifting the spirit, it weighs it down. So how did something meant to refine the soul become a substance that imprisons it? Alcohol has always been seen as something special, something almost magical. In ancient times, it was reserved for sacred rituals, used in ceremonies to commune with gods and spirits. But what if its role in these rituals wasn't to bring people closer to the divine, but to separate them from it? Every major spiritual tradition, from Buddhism to Hinduism, from Christianity to Islam, carries warnings about intoxication. Why? If alcohol was just a simple indulgence, why would the wisest sages, monks, and mystics of every age speak against it? Because they understood something we've forgotten. The human mind is a finely tuned instrument. It has the potential to access profound states of awareness, deep intuition, even direct spiritual revelation. But alcohol shuts down these higher faculties. It dampens consciousness, weakens self-control, and disconnects the soul from its true potential. This is the deception of alcohol. It appears to offer freedom, freedom from stress, freedom from pain, freedom from inhibition. But this is an illusion. True freedom is found in clarity, not in forgetfulness. Alcohol mimics the transcendence that comes from deep meditation or spiritual connection. But instead of elevating consciousness, it lowers it. And the effects of this suppression go beyond just the individual. A society numbed by alcohol is a society that is easier to control. A mind dulled by intoxication is less likely to question, less likely to seek truth, less likely to wake up to the greater reality beyond material existence. Think about how alcohol is promoted today. It's everywhere. It's in our celebrations, our social gatherings, our moments of relaxation. It's marketed as an essential part of life itself. But who benefits from this? Why is it that the very same systems that restrict mind-expanding substances like psychedelics encourage the use of alcohol? Could it be that alcohol was never meant to liberate, but to enslave? Every sip of alcohol alters consciousness. The moment it enters the bloodstream, it changes the way the brain processes reality. At first, there's a lightness, a feeling of release. Anxiety fades, social barriers dissolve, the mind starts to feel free. But is this true freedom, or is it a hijacking of perception? Alcohol works by suppressing the activity of the brain's prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for rational thought, decision-making, and impulse control. In spiritual terms, this is the seat of higher awareness. This is where we experience clarity, where we cultivate wisdom, where we connect to something greater than ourselves. By numbing this part of the brain, alcohol creates a temporary illusion of transcendence. The ego feels lighter. The burdens of daily life seem distant. But this isn't spiritual elevation, it's chemical suppression. Instead of rising above problems, the mind simply forgets them. And then, there's the deeper layer. In many spiritual traditions, altered states of consciousness are considered gateways, doorways to different realms, different frequencies of existence. Shamans and mystics have long understood that what we call reality is only one layer of a vast multidimensional experience. Alcohol, too, alters consciousness. But unlike sacred plant medicines, which are used in careful, intentional ways to expand awareness, alcohol lowers vibration. It's no coincidence that in many indigenous cultures, alcohol was seen as a tool of spiritual disconnection. When European colonizers introduced alcohol to Native American tribes, the effects were devastating, not just physically, but spiritually. Alcohol cuts off the connection between the physical and the divine. In mystical terms, the body is a vessel, the mind a gateway, and the spirit a flame seeking reunion with its source. But alcohol dims that flame. It lowers the body's vibrational frequency, making it harder for the soul to resonate with higher states of consciousness. This is why spiritual masters across the ages have spoken of alcohol as a false path, a counterfeit version of the enlightenment we truly seek. It provides a momentary escape, but at the cost of spiritual stagnation. Instead of ascending, the soul remains tethered to the material world, caught in cycles of indulgence and regret. True transcendence doesn't come from numbing the mind. It comes from awakening it. Real liberation isn't found at the bottom of a bottle. It's found in the clarity of an unclouded spirit. And this is where the greatest deception of alcohol lies. It promises relief, it promises freedom, it promises transformation. But in the end, it delivers the opposite. Throughout history, the word spirit has carried profound meanings. In mystical traditions, it refers to the essence of life itself, the divine energy that animates all things. In alchemy, it represents the purified form of a substance, the most concentrated essence drawn from raw material. And yet, in modern language, it is also the name given to something that numbs, clouds, and disconnects, the intoxicating substance we call alcohol. Why? Is it just a coincidence that alcohol is called a spirit? Or is there something deeper at play? Could it be that alcohol was once understood to be more than just a drink, something that influences not just the body, but the very core of a person's consciousness? Ancient cultures believed that consuming alcohol opened gateways, not just in the mind, but in the spiritual realm. In some traditions, alcohol was used in controlled rituals, where it was believed to bring visions or contact with the unseen. But there was a warning attached. Consuming too much, or using it without guidance, didn't just dull the senses. It invited in chaotic energies, disrupting the soul's natural balance. The ancient Egyptians believed that certain substances could either elevate or trap the soul. They carefully distinguished between those that brought clarity and those that brought confusion. Alcohol, they noted, was one of the substances that could create a false form of transcendence, an illusion of connection that actually led to disconnection. Even in the language we use today, the truth is hidden in plain sight. We say people get wasted when they drink too much. But what exactly is being wasted? Time? Energy? Or is it something deeper? We call it intoxication, as in poisoning. But what exactly is being poisoned? Just the body? Or could it be the mind and soul as well? And perhaps the most revealing of all, when someone drinks heavily, we say they are possessed by alcohol. Possessed. Could it be that alcohol doesn't just alter consciousness, but opens the door to something else? Something unseen? Something that takes hold when the spirit is weakened? In many ancient traditions, the body was understood to be a temple, a sacred vessel for the soul. The goal of spiritual practice was to refine and strengthen this vessel, to bring it into harmony with higher states of being. The clearer the mind, the stronger the connection to divine truth. But alcohol disrupts this balance. It lowers the vibrational state of the body, creating instability, confusion, and disconnection. Instead of lifting the soul upward, it drags it downward, anchoring it to lower frequencies of existence. This is why in many spiritual traditions, alcohol was forbidden, not as a simple rule, but as a protection. The dangers were not just physical, they were spiritual. And modern science is beginning to reveal something ancient mystics always knew. Alcohol doesn't just suppress thought, it literally shuts down the part of the brain responsible for higher awareness. The prefrontal cortex, often associated with rational thought, self-awareness, and moral decision-making, is deeply connected to spiritual perception. It is the part of the brain responsible for discernment, the ability to see beyond illusions, to navigate life with clarity and wisdom. Alcohol turns it off. It doesn't just impair judgment, it disconnects the mind from the very faculties that allow it to perceive truth. And it gets even deeper. In many mystical traditions, the pineal gland, often referred to as the third eye, is said to be the seat of spiritual intuition, the gateway between the physical and the divine. It is believed to be the organ responsible for higher perception, allowing us to see beyond the physical realm and into the greater reality. The pineal gland is extremely sensitive to toxins, and modern research suggests that alcohol directly affects its function. Regular alcohol consumption has been linked to calcification of the pineal gland, dulling its ability to operate properly. Ancient cultures knew this. They understood that what you put into the body determines the state of the soul. They warned that alcohol wasn't just a drink, it was a tool of suppression, a way to sever the connection between the physical and the divine. So why is alcohol so widely promoted? Why is something that clouds perception and blocks spiritual insight pushed as an essential part of life? Because a society that is spiritually disconnected is a society that is easier to control. When the mind is clouded, when awareness is dulled, when the connection to higher truth is severed, people become passive. They lose their sense of purpose, their inner power, their ability to see beyond the distractions placed in front of them. This is why alcohol is not just accepted, but celebrated in modern culture. It is marketed as a reward, a form of relaxation, an escape from stress. But what exactly is being escaped? Reality, or the ability to change it? And it's no accident that alcohol consumption follows a cyclical pattern. People drink to feel free, to escape their burdens. But the escape is temporary. The next day the burden returns, heavier than before, so they drink again and again. It is the very definition of samsara, the cycle of suffering. In Eastern traditions, samsara represents the endless loop of birth, death, and rebirth, the repeating cycles of desire, attachment, and illusion. It is the prison of the unconscious mind, the pattern that keeps souls trapped in lower states of existence. Alcohol perfectly mirrors this cycle. It offers temporary euphoria, followed by a crash, relief, followed by regret, escape, followed by enslavement. And so, people drink again, seeking the high, avoiding the low, unaware that they are caught in a loop that was designed to keep them asleep. Because the truth is, alcohol does not liberate, it binds. It does not awaken, it numbs. It does not expand consciousness, it dulls it. And the more one drinks, the deeper the illusion becomes. The cycle continues, trapping the mind in a pattern of indulgence and dissatisfaction, keeping it distracted from the real work of spiritual transformation. This is why mystics, monks, and sages across all traditions have spoken against alcohol, not out of restriction, but out of wisdom. Because they understood something that modern culture has tried to make us forget. True transcendence does not come from outside of you. It does not come from a bottle, a pill, or a momentary escape. It comes from within. And that is the greatest secret of all. Because once you realize this, Once you break free from the illusion, you become unstoppable. And that is exactly what they don't want. There is a kind of intoxication that elevates the soul, that lifts the spirit beyond the limits of the physical world, that fills the heart with boundless love and divine ecstasy. The great mystics, poets, and sages of the past spoke of this intoxication, the kind that comes not from alcohol, but from something far more powerful. Rumi, the great Sufi poet, wrote of drunkenness, not from wine, but from the overwhelming love of the divine. "Be drunk on love," he said, "for love is all that exists." To him, true intoxication was not about numbing reality, but about awakening to it. It was about being so overwhelmed by the beauty of existence, so deeply connected to the divine source of all things, that the ego dissolves, the mind expands, and the heart experiences true bliss. But this kind of intoxication, the kind that comes from spiritual connection, is completely different from the false intoxication that alcohol provides. The wine of the mystics was not a substance, it was a state of being. So why does alcohol attempt to imitate it? The answer lies in understanding the fundamental human longing for transcendence. Every soul, at its core, desires to return to its source. There is an ancient, deep-seated yearning within every human being, an unconscious desire to experience the infinite, to merge with something greater than themselves, to feel the ecstasy of divine union. This is why humans seek experiences that expand consciousness. Some turn to meditation, prayer, or spiritual practice. Others, lacking guidance, turn to artificial means, substances that offer a counterfeit version of transcendence. Alcohol mimics the effects of true spiritual connection, but only on a surface level. It momentarily suppresses the burdens of the ego, dissolves inhibitions, and creates the illusion of freedom. But unlike true transcendence, which elevates the soul, alcohol merely disconnects it. Instead of rising into higher states of awareness, the mind falls into confusion. Instead of touching divine joy, it experiences an artificial euphoria, followed by emptiness. Instead of achieving enlightenment, it becomes dependent on an external substance to feel temporary relief. This is why alcohol is often called a trap for the soul. It preys on the natural desire for transcendence, but keeps the seeker stuck in an endless cycle of illusion. The difference between true spiritual intoxication and alcohol is simple. One wakes you up. The other puts you to sleep. One expands awareness. The other shuts it down. One connects you to the divine. The other cuts you off from it. This is why the great spiritual traditions of the world have always warned about the dangers of alcohol. They knew that if a person's longing for transcendence was hijacked by an artificial substance, they would never pursue the real path. They would remain trapped in an illusion, forever searching for something that could never truly satisfy them. The soul does not crave intoxication. It craves freedom. It craves connection. It craves the real thing. And those who control the world understand this far better than most people do. They know that a spiritually awakened population is a powerful population, a society that is clear-minded, self-aware, and connected to divine truth is impossible to manipulate. People who have experienced true transcendence do not seek escape because they are already free. So, what better way to keep people disconnected than to give them something that feels like freedom but is actually enslavement? This is why alcohol is not just accepted, but celebrated in modern culture. Think about how it is portrayed. Alcohol is always associated with joy, success, and social bonding. It's in every advertisement, every celebration, every major life event. It is sold as a path to happiness, a way to enhance life, a symbol of status and fun. But behind this illusion is something far darker. Alcohol has become one of the most effective tools of control in human history, not through force, but through distraction. A numbed, disoriented population will never rise against the forces that seek to control them. A society caught in an endless cycle of indulgence and regret will never pursue higher knowledge. And so, alcohol is woven into the very fabric of our culture. ensuring that people remain asleep. It is not just a drug, it is a system of control. Because think about it, if alcohol truly liberated people, why would governments and corporations promote it so heavily? Why is it the one mind-altering substance that is legal, mainstream, and widely available? It's because alcohol doesn't set people free. It keeps them trapped. It ensures that people remain distracted, foggy-minded, and disconnected from their true power. It encourages them to seek fulfillment in external substances rather than looking inward. It keeps them addicted to temporary highs instead of pursuing lasting spiritual growth. And worst of all, most people don't even realize it. They believe they are enjoying themselves. They believe they are making their own choices. They believe they are simply unwinding or having fun. But the truth is, they are playing right into the system's hands. Because nothing is more dangerous to those in power than a fully awake, spiritually aware, and sovereign individual. A person who is awake cannot be controlled. A person who is spiritually connected cannot be deceived. A person who has experienced true transcendence will never settle for the illusion of freedom that alcohol provides. And once you see the game for what it is, you can never unsee it. This is why the first step to true spiritual awakening is breaking free from anything that clouds the mind and spirit. The moment you remove alcohol from your life, something incredible happens. Clarity returns, awareness sharpens. The natural joy that was buried beneath the fog starts to rise to the surface. The need for external escape disappears because the inner world becomes so rich, so fulfilling, so real that artificial highs are no longer necessary. And most importantly, you begin to wake up, because they never wanted you to know this. They never wanted you to realize that everything you seek, happiness, transcendence, fulfillment, connection, has been inside you all along. They never wanted you to discover that true intoxication, the kind the mystics spoke of, requires no external substance. It is the natural state of an awakened soul, fully present, fully alive, fully in tune with the infinite. And once you experience that, you will never go back. Because the truth is this: the highest form of intoxication is clarity. The greatest high is awareness. And the deepest pleasure comes not from escaping reality, but from embracing it fully with eyes wide open. For centuries, alcohol has been woven into the fabric of human life. It is given to us as a celebration, a ritual, a tradition, a comfort. We are told it is a symbol of freedom, a way to unwind, a harmless pleasure. But what if everything we've been told about it is wrong? What if alcohol was never meant to enhance our lives, but to limit them? What if it was never about giving people a way to relax, but about giving people a cage they willingly enter? Breaking free from alcohol is not just about health. It is not just about self-control. It is about reclaiming the power that has been taken from you. Because the truth is, alcohol is one of the greatest barriers to human potential. It is a tool, not of liberation, but of suppression. And once you step away from it, once you remove it from your life, something incredible begins to happen. The fog lifts. The body feels lighter, cleaner, more alive. The mind sharpens. Thoughts become clearer. Emotions become more stable. And then, something even more profound happens. You start to see through the illusions. Because alcohol is not just a chemical, it is a weapon used against the human spirit. It is designed to keep people asleep, to keep them distracted, to keep them from ever realizing the truth about themselves. The truth that everything they seek, happiness, confidence, connection, transcendence, has always been inside them. The truth that they never needed alcohol in the first place. And this is where the greatest transformation begins. Because when you stop relying on alcohol, you are forced to confront something much deeper. Why was it there in the first place? What were you seeking when you drank? Was it confidence? Was it relief from stress? Was it an escape from pain? Was it the illusion of freedom? Because the moment you answer that question, the moment you uncover the real reason alcohol was in your life, you begin the process of true liberation. not just from alcohol, but from everything that has ever held you back. And this is why removing alcohol is such a powerful act of rebellion. Because when you take it out of your life, you are not just removing a drink, you are breaking a spell. You are rejecting a system that was designed to keep you distracted and disempowered. You are saying, I no longer give my energy to something that weakens me. You are choosing to wake up. And when you do, you realize something extraordinary. The world does not look the same anymore. You start to notice things you never noticed before. You start to see how deeply alcohol is embedded into society, not because it is good for people, but because it is profitable to keep them numb. You see how it is used to control, to pacify, to keep people from questioning, from growing, from realizing their full potential. You see how it has been turned into a cultural addiction, where people drink not because they truly enjoy it, but because they don't know who they are without it. And then, the final piece of the puzzle falls into place. You realize that alcohol is not just a drink, it is a symbol of the illusions that keep people trapped in lower states of consciousness, a symbol of the cycles that prevent true awakening, a symbol of a world that wants you to stay asleep. And the moment you see it for what it is, you are free, because now you have a choice. You can continue to participate in the illusion, or you can step beyond it. You can keep chasing temporary highs, or you can experience something far greater, the real thing. Because true intoxication, the kind the mystics spoke of, does not come from alcohol. It comes from waking up. It comes from experiencing the world in its raw, unfiltered reality. It comes from facing life, not numbing it. It comes from stepping into your full power, not giving it away. And once you taste that, there is no going back. Because you will realize with absolute clarity that the joy, the confidence, the connection, the transcendence that you once sought in a bottle was never in the bottle at all. It was inside you all along. And now you are finally free to claim it. This is the real secret they never wanted you to know. That you never needed alcohol, that you were always powerful, that your spirit was always whole. And now you are waking up to that truth. So what happens next? The choice is yours.